Hello, I'm Darren Slack, and welcome to Week 4 of NFA's QB Cast, your weekly prep talk podcast for helping everyone associated with game day to get better. It's Week 4, and our leadership series continues with number 4 on the list of critical attributes for quarterback leaders on the field and in life, and that's discipline. Discipline is defined as training yourself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. Last week, I used the metaphor of a car engine's slower or faster acceleration to describe character in two forms: reliable over time and ready under immediate pressure on game day. We need to think of discipline as the gasoline that ignites that engine of our character. Yes, character creates its own fuel, discipline to power itself. Zig Ziglar, the famous motivational speaker, said once that it was character that got us out of bed, commitment that moved us into action, and discipline that enabled us to follow through. A leader's discipline to follow through is their capacity to manage, restrain, and apply mental, emotional, and physical energy to these leadership attributes on game day and every day, frankly, to remain focused, on task, and committed to finishing strong. Discipline occurs in a refining process much like gasoline. You see, during the refining process of crude oil, raw materials are introduced with heat, and gasoline or usable energy is the result. Similarly, the raw materials of discipline are combined with heat to our experience growing up, as we're told what to do, how to do it, where to be, and when to be there. We're taught to fend for ourselves, and we're educated about our world and our place in it. All the while, we're expected to demonstrate an increasing measure of self-control through this process, a measure of discipline. In oil refinement, a catalyst or a compound of different chemicals is added to speed up the process. This can also occur as we grow in discipline, as we're taught not just what to do, but why things are done, the value of hard work, and the rewards that come from it. This why catalyst begins to convert all the things we have to do into things we want to do ourselves without having to be told in order to reap the benefits. We see that hard work produces self-respect, rewards, and satisfaction. It creates opportunities in work, relationships, and life. In football, we see how the discipline of our talent in a sport begins to provide significant returns in self-confidence, self-respect, and approval from all kinds of sources. The word for this type of discipline-inspired reward is commonly referred to as glory, or something that brings praise or fame, a source of great pride. In order to achieve this glory, we'll plan year-round improvement, submitting to grueling training of our personal disciplines to experience ever-increasing and significant moments of glory. And if we aspire to leadership in football, well, we'll drill down on our why, we'll draw deeply on our passion, and we'll deny ourselves even more in discipline to reap even greater rewards. Because we know that the greater the sacrifices made, the greater the glory is felt in the moments of victory. It's this indescribable feeling of elation, relief, affirmation, and validation combined at the moment of victory that makes up the moment of glory. If you've ever experienced it, it makes you want it again. Having watched someone else experience it, well, that makes you want it. Either way, no matter where you are in the process, each of us aspires to moments of glory through that brutal sacrifice that discipline requires. Now, here's the challenge. There's no guarantee of this glory for anyone if we discipline ourselves. Vince Lombardi, the legendary Packers football coach, once said that it's easy to have faith in yourself and have discipline when you're a winner, when you're number one. What you got to have is faith and discipline when you're not a winner. That's the challenge, and that's the risk of discipline that we take, the risk that we'll not see the reward for all the hard work. However, there is something in the heart of every man, and certainly every leader, that finds great glory in giving themselves over to something bigger than themselves. This has its own deep satisfaction and value, a measure of glory. Winning is certainly more intense and a desired feeling of glory in the moment, but there's something lasting in the glory that comes from committing yourself to the team above yourself. And that counts. We invest, we train, we prepare to exhaust ourselves in a team effort toward a shared goal that can change our lives forever. Discipline is the decision to go all in for those we choose to partner with in our pursuit of a moment of glory. The fuel that will carry us through that long season is the gasoline of discipline. Now here's the question. Do you have enough mental, physical, and emotional energy in the tank to take you the entire way? Are you willing to do whatever it takes in hopes of achieving that sweet moment with your team? Is your why big enough to keep you expending more energy when it's needed to keep the dream of glory alive, even if your team's not winning? We must always make sure our why for being out there is sound and strong. We need to remind ourselves every day of that why and not lose heart when that why is questioned or challenged. Now, during the season is when the actions of the leader reveal their why infinitely more than their words. It's not what you say, it's what you do. A leader's discipline clearly communicates why you do what you do, and you must set the example for the rest of the team aspiring to glory through sacrifice. This usually means the level of discipline you have to demonstrate is higher than all the others. Sorry, that's just the way it is. This also means the sweetness of the reward will be greater, but the agony of failure will be more painful. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. Discipline is the kept promise of a leader to his team that nothing will get in the way of the pursuit of their moment of glory. In order for a leader to maintain this kind of discipline during such a crazy season requires 3 gauges we need to monitor in our actions. I say they're gauges because, like gauges on the dashboard of a vehicle report back on the level of fuel and the condition of the engine, our levels of discipline reflected on these gauges is an indication of how much energy is in the tank and where our character is at any given moment. Here are the 3 gauges you need on the dashboard of your heart to monitor and maintain discipline. Things you need to stop doing, things you need to start doing, and things you need to keep doing. These aren't new, but applied in this way will help us. The things you need to stop doing would be those things that hurt your ability to serve as a leader on your team, anything that harms yourself or distracts you from the goal. It's anything that reduces your capacity to compete, even if it's fun to do. It can also be anything that could risk your availability to the team. Now, I'm not going to tell you what those things are. It's different for each person. You're a man and a leader who wants to be treated like one. So, own your gauges. You know what's distracting, detrimental, and in the way right now, and you have to deal with it. It's your call. We see these things as gauges because we're always tempted by things that can distract us from discipline that leads to glory. There's a great quote that opportunity may knock only once, but temptation leans on the doorbell. Temptation to mediocrity will always be there trying to get you off track, and only your discipline can monitor it. Second, there are things we need to start doing. These things should come from what we know is expected of us that we aren't getting done. These things usually come from those that we're accountable to, and our coaches, our teachers, our parents, and our trusted peers who are always expecting more from us. They want the best from us. There will be those sacrificial steps of our time and energy that we take throughout the season that are so difficult, but it helps us keep our promise. The best way I found to monitor this gauge is to assess my level of serving others versus selfishly pursuing what I want. The third and final gauge of our discipline is things we need to keep doing. These are those things we've already decided are worth it for the sake of the team. These are the steps you've already taken that caused others to follow you and put you into leadership in the first place. You need to remember that and not let down now, especially when you've been entrusted with so much by the team. They're counting on you. There's nothing worse than a leader who earned their spot through discipline that loses it because they forgot what got them there. It breaks everyone's heart to remove a leader from leadership because it means they didn't keep their promise. Discipline is arguably the most demanding attribute of leadership because it costs a great deal. Discipline, like our gas tanks, must regularly be replenished through rest, recovery, and relationships with those we serve. Make sure to protect your times of rest, your times of recovery, and relationships with teammates throughout the season so the reason, the why for all the sacrifices you're making isn't lost along the way. We must monitor these gauges of discipline throughout our lives to achieve the glory of small and big victories in every opportunity we get. You see, football is one of our first chances to show everyone how much gas we actually have in the tank. Don't blow it. There are many who lose heart over time. They run out of gas and no longer wish to sacrifice for others in their pursuit of a better glory. They just want to complain and whine. They only wish for glory to be handed to them as if their past efforts and sacrifices should count for today. This sense of entitlement will never work in football or in life. The glory of victory is reserved only for the team and leaders that gave their best every moment, every day along the way. Anyone who seeks to shortcut that process is disrespected, unappreciated, and will feel nothing but empty, even in victory. So let's monitor those gauges of discipline, guys, through what we need to stop, start, and keep doing. And make sure you get your rest, recovery, and time with your teammates off the field to protect this precious resource. We must decide afresh to do what others are not willing to do so that we can achieve heights of glory that others cannot. And the best moment, the best part of glory you will find, as so many others have, isn't the arriving at that moment. It's the journey you took with your brothers who gave their all with you. I hope that encourages you to sustain discipline as leaders. Next week, we'll dive into another important attribute. But this week, let's demonstrate discipline in the pursuit of team glory. We wish you the best, NFA Nation, in your games this week, and we'll talk to you next week after your win.